All right, guys. So today we are with one of our fastest growing clients, Rick. Thanks for being here, Rick.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, so Rick, tell the audience how many vehicles you currently have and where you're based out of.
Currently, we've got 16 vehicles. We're based out of Memphis area. We started in May 1, and we've been growing pretty much every week since then, bringing on vehicles. So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and to clarify, that is May of this year. So he's done this in just a few months. Some people hearing that might think it was from last year or something, from how fast you guys have moved.
Yeah, I took April and started buying vehicles. Um, we reached out to you in January. The main reason that I wanted to have a coach, and I looked all over YouTube, and we made the decision to go with Car Rental Coach for just some simple reasons. My background, I'm a fireman. Was with the fire services for 27 years and retired paramedic, and I'm used to pretty fast paced stuff, and I'm used to learning things on the fly and running ahead with it. So we saw what y'all did, and what's been great about it, and what's really crushed our learning curve is that we're able to just ask you questions on the fly. You answer the questions, we move on. It's not a library of information I have to go through or anything like that. And that's what sped us up. Starting May 1 of this year, we put three on, then we put additional three, and just kept adding. And we've been doing that since May 1. And we've had a pretty massive wreck. So I'm getting through that claim really well, and that's thanks to you and giving us some navigational tips on that. We've had to go and repossess a car already, and that wasn't a very big deal. But we've got the trackers that you recommended, so I know where all our cars are. And I did disable that car once I contacted Turo and all that stuff. So I was able to get the car, and it stayed in town. And let's see what else we had. We've had the smokers. We've had just the typical stuff. And oh, the big thing, we bought a couple cars that ended up with recall. I got on Turo, and they shot out that it'll be 30 days message to me, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I got with you. You told me how to take and I ran over their dealership, got it done, got the paperwork. You showed me how to submit it really quick. And within probably 15 minutes of us submitting that paperwork for that recall, it was taken care of and we were listed. So these are the things that we appreciate that you've helped us with, and your accessibility, just to be honest. But our goals are to get to 20 here pretty shortly. So we're about, we're 68 days into the business. So we're going to get to 20 pretty quick, and then we're going to go to 40, pretty fast. This time next year, we should be at 40.
Yeah, which is exponential growth and amazing to see. And, I've worked with a lot of people, and a lot of people become very successful through this business. But I will say you are one of the fastest growing for sure. We've had a few clients that have hit over 40, but, that's over a year or two period. But it's impressive to see what you've built so far. So, what first got you interested in the Turo business in general, even before you started working with us at Car Rental Coach? What prompted your interest in this specifically?
Okay, so I kind of researched things for a couple of years, researched Turo for about a year and a half. Well, I did real estate on the side on my off days when I was on the fire department, bought and sold, flipped houses, retained a bunch of rental property, all that stuff. And that game is kind of a slow in, hard out, And at my age, I'm 55. I wanted to see an easy in and an easy out. And I was able to take what I'd learned from the real estate business, and I saw that these cars could be assets similar to that if they were done right, but it would be an easy in and an easy out for us. We're looking at a 5-year plan,
Mm.
and at the end of 5 years, we will either grow exponentially and go into an additional market, Jackson, Tennessee, or we'll sell, shut it down, whatever. But 5 years is what we're going to do. So I saw it as an easy in and an easy out, and that's why I made the decision.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely more liquid for sure when it comes to buying and then also being able to sell the cars. Very good cash flow, especially when you compare it to what you would have to invest in a real estate property to get similar cash flow, if not even sometimes less. Um, Obviously, real estate's also nice to have, and I have some properties too, and you do get the benefit of appreciation, but the way we buy the cars, they're already pretty depreciated, so not too affected by that either. What would you say are the things that you find to be the most in common with real estate and rental properties, and then the rental car business from somebody with experience in both?
So I would say some of my clientele is similar. More of some of their attitude is similar. Um, I've been doing it for 30 years, so it was easy for me to understand the needs and wants of the guest or the customer. So that was something that transitioned really easily for me. As far as the daily, just keeping the guests happy, or the daily piece of making sure that that piece of property or this car is fixed. Those are similar. It's just a
Mm.
daily. It's just I don't want to call it a grind because I actually enjoy doing the cars, but it's just a daily set of things that you need to do. Like today, I've got one in the shop getting some electric fixed, and then I've got one in the body shop. Let's see, I've got two or three that need oil changes, just your typical stuff. But I tell you what we did do to help us with our maintenance program and stuff is we got with One Step and we've loaded all our mileage in and we've worked with them. They have a it, their little maintenance piece seems to be just what we need. So it'll give me a alert like 200 miles out from an oil change or tire rotation or windshield wipers or whatever. So we're working on that right now to kind of automate that so that it happens without any problems.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. You actually turned me on to that. I've always been a big fan of using their products and didn't even know that feature was incorporated. So you always learn something new. Yeah, those are some great points about the similarities between the two. What would you say are the biggest differences from being a real estate investor versus a Turo owner?
Well, I would say first the money. It's not much money to really go get a car. You can get them pretty cheap. You can, run out there and get them. They're all over the place to pick up. You can get them cheap. They might need a little bit of work or whatever. Housing is real estate costs a little bit more money. You leverage a little bit more.
Mm.
Your return takes longer. If you're wanting to get out of it, as far as a rental property type thing, it's going to take you longer to get out. So I'm really thinking that the Turo and the rental car thing will be just works perfect for us because if we decided that we wanted January and February just to take off, which
Mm.
we're contemplating that, we'll just store the cars, go to Florida, stay for 2.5 months, and then come back. With real estate, you can't really do that. You're always attached to real estate, and there's some benefits to real estate with the depreciation and
Mm.
the tax incentives and the appreciation of value of the property and all that. But in in my opinion, I think the Turo and the rental car business is just a much easier, clean cut deal, and you can run pretty fast with it, and the return's pretty immediate.
Yeah, no, all excellent points. And then to give people some of the worst parts of being a Turo host, what would you say your worst experience has been so far, right? Because it's not all sunshine and rainbows, as we both know. Like any business, there's going to be issues, but I always like to give people a glimpse of that too.
Right. So when we started, we left our hours to 11 p.m. and I changed them back to 9, and we might even go to 7. It didn't change any of our numbers as far as revenue. It just had people come at a more convenient time for me
Mm.
because we're new at it, so I still go. Once everybody's checked the cars back in, I still run over there and make sure that the lock boxes are actually locked, because a lot of times they just throw the keys in the lock box, but the lock box isn't locked. So, I'm fairly new at it. So those little things, I'm still making sure that my investment's going to stay there the rest of the night. But I had one person that she didn't have any reviews, and she's new and a guest, and she took the car, and then I actually offered to extend, trying to, fill up my calendar. She took a day. And then the next day, she actually said she wanted to extend, but she never did. And that went on 4 or 5 hours. And, I hit the has not returned button on the thing and all. But what turned out to be, she was going from short-term stay hotel to short-term stay hotel, kind of moving around this one little area of town.
Mhm.
What ended up happening is I watched the car for 24 hours. I saw where she ended up staying. I figured out where her little home base was,
Yeah.
and I waited. She got back about 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up about 5. I looked at my tracker history and I said, "Yeah, after 48 hours, she's sleeping probably." So I
Yeah.
went by the hotel. Um, I've got a pretty nice trailer that's automatic and all that stuff, remote.
Mhm.
And I just saw the car and walked up to it, got in it, drove down to where I'd parked my trailer, put it on the truck, and I left. But when I went through it, you could see where they'd been doing drugs, and there was heroin and just different things that were all throughout the car. Um,
Yeah.
so, it was a deal, but we got that thing cleaned up pretty quick. I contacted the police and, said, "Hey, this is kind of what happened." One of their officers came by. We took care of what we need to take care of right quick. And about 2 hours after that, I had it back on ready to rent. So,
Oh,
that's
wow.
kind of my worst thing. I had to deal with a dopehead and go get my car. But like I said, I've been doing real estate for 30 years, and I'm used to this kind of stuff. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. And it's just part of the business. I'm looking at my numbers. I'm looking at how much I'm making, what my, how many times I'm renting per day, per day. I'm looking at all that stuff and, looking at my net profits, and none of that stuff bothers me. I'm just going to get the car back.
Yeah, that's a great mentality to have. That's something I always tell people when we first start working together. Make sure you're not attached to these vehicles too much, just because it's a money-making tool at the end of the day. This isn't your personal car that you're polishing up every single day and you can't wait to take it for a spin around town. This is a car that is being sent out there to bring in dollars.
Right, right. Now, the one thing that I've always done, whether it be real estate or flipping businesses or different things that I've done in the past, I've always separated myself with customer service. A lot of people kind of get into things and they just kind of go through the motions of the day, but we really have always worked hard with different projects on customer service, and we're doing it with this, and we're already seeing repeat customers. We've got really good reviews. The We do have a couple bad reviews from bad guests that
Mhm.
we're trying to get that taken care of. But when I talked to you about them, you said, when you put in your response and people see that all the other reviews are good, and that's one knucklehead,
Yeah.
So, it's kind of transparent as to what, they start complaining about immediately, So I had one last night or yesterday that was doing 100 miles an hour in my
Uh,
car for several hours. And so Turo, I went through that process. They escalated. But we did end up getting the car back, and I did rate them low because I don't want them as a customer anymore. I've got a Ford Focus that I had the same problem with the customer last month, and now the transmission I've got to replace. And that's $5,000-6,000. So we watch it. I get alerts after 92 miles an hour,
yeah,
and
which is
so
smart.
yeah, we watch it because I'm trying to get that asset to last as long as it can, so I can make the most money out of it and keep it up and keep it nice for the customers. So we looked at I think we're at 170 something um, trips now, and
Well.
Oh, like 99% of them. We've only had like five that we've had some problems with, and we're coming out okay on those. So we're pleased with it. We're really happy with it.
Yeah, and like you said, you kind of get an idea of what kind of client it's going to be based on the messages they send you when the trip starts. So a good indicator that somebody's going to smoke in your vehicle is them messaging you saying, "Hey, this car smells like smoke or it smells like weed," after you already know that it's been well detailed and smells fine. And then it
Right.
usually does come back smelling like that because the guest wants to try to cover their trails, not be blamed to get charged a smoking fee, which I'll say the
Right.
majority of guests are fine. I have usually a pretty positive experience overall. It's just the handful that hopefully, as Turo continues to, they are able to start weeding those people out more. And that's why I always tell hosts it's important to make sure you review people when they're not doing a good job
Mhm.
with the experience because one, it keeps them from being able to rent from you, and then two, it keeps them from being able to rent from somebody else on Turo, and it helps keep the Turo community, clean without anybody having to rent to people that are trashing these cars. So we can keep it at a higher standard and then keep growing it from
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. And we're doing our part because I don't, we will do everything to make a good trip for somebody. You
Mm,
know, a good guest, we're going to take care of them. There's no doubt. But we get something back where somebody on the trip is doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You know, we're going to put that out there as a review, and we don't want them back because they're not taking care of our vehicle and they're abusing it. And we want the other hosts to see so that they don't have to go through what we went through because those type of people that do that are repeat offenders until you stop them and all.
sure.
And Turo's a great platform, and it does. The host, me as a host, I feel like we're going to, do great on it. I mean, there's no doubt. But I am trying to weed out the knuckleheads.
Yeah, no, you and me both. Definitely an important part of the process. So, if you were to give one piece of advice to somebody that wanted to start a Turo business, what would it be?
That that's easy in my eyes. So what I would say is it's actually kind of like two little things. Go buy your cars, get them bought, get an idea of what your process is going to be starting day one. Because once you start, you're going to start booking. And then now you're starting to do the daily stuff of the rental business. All right. So go ahead and buy your cars. Find you a coach. You guys, I, I don't think there's a better group out there. Um, it's if you want to grow fast, make your money, jump over hurdles, get questions answered, and get to the end quicker, then go with car rental coach. I mean, I would do it again. I'd do it, in the next 6 months. I'd do it next year because the information that you gave me allowed me to get where I am so quickly, and we're profiting in this month. We'll we'll profit pretty good, and all for a business that started oh 68 days ago. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So we're excited about that. So get you a coach, get with them, listen to what they have to say, do what they say, and run as fast as you can because every car you put on there is going to get rented, and all you got to do is take care of your business and take care of your customers.
Appreciate that, Rick. And for anybody watching, if you do want to work with us one-on-one to help either start or scale your car rental business, you can go to carrentalcoach.com, fill out our quick 60-second survey, and if you qualify, you'll actually work with us one-on-one to grow your business, and we can help you get results like Rick. Um, but only fill it out if you're serious. We only work with people that are going to be successful. If you're somebody that's on the fence about starting the business, don't waste your time filling it out. Maybe just continue watching videos and learning. But if you're somebody that really wants to get started and scale, then you can fill out that survey. And like I said, if you qualify, we'll work with you. Well, thanks again for your time today, Rick. Really appreciate it. You dropped some real gems for the audience and appreciate your time and giving that value.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks for all your help.
Oh, of course.